So next, we'll talk about our wide receiver breakout, and I'll start with this one. I'm kind of on the same page as the last guy. I think DeAndre Moore is ready for a breakout season. I honestly think we could have seen this last year from him, but he kind of dealt with, I believe, a foot injury last year that kind of sidelined him for a little bit, didn't allow him to get up to speed for some games during the season. But he had a solid season, but not a great season. 39 receptions, 456 yards, 7 touchdowns, 11.7 yards per catch. And I think my expectations are when the guys came out last year, the A.D. Mitchells, the Xavier Worthies, the Jordan Whittingtons, they were all asked at the NFL Combine, who's next? Because that's a typical question they ask players at the Combine. And all of them said DeAndre Moore. They said that guy's going to be special. He is hard-nosed. He gets to campus on time. He's always the first one to practice. That's always been reported. Like, this guy is the first person to practice more times than not. And he did a good job blocking. He was a hard-nosed player, but there was that explosive element at times that I missed from him. I think he has the capability of getting that 70 to 80 reception mark of 900 yards. Touchdowns are actually fine with me. I'm fine with 7 touchdowns, but more catches, more reliability, I guess. And I think he has that capability, and I think you're going to see that this year. And someone has to step up. Like, we don't have that number one wide receiver like we've had at Texas in the Steve Sarkisian era. You saw that with Xavier Worthy. Then you saw that with A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. Then you saw that last year with Matthew Golden, where he did step up. Who's going to be that guy this year? I expect it to be DeAndre Moore.
Yeah, and that 23 class is turning out to be a weird one at wide receiver, right? You have whatever the heck happened with Jonte Cook. You've got Ryan Niblett, who's been playing everywhere but wide receiver at this point. So DeAndre Moore at this point is the top guy from that class, right? So he was an explosive athlete. He's a guy that was highly coveted by Texas. That was a big, this was the Arch Manning wide receiver group, right? Arch Manning had a big hand in getting this wide receiver group. And so I think DeAndre Moore has an opportunity to step up and to step into that role. Texas, there's a vacuum, right? There's a vacuum at the dude at wide receiver. So who is it going to be? And I think he's got an option and an opportunity to be that dude. I think my guy also has an opportunity there. So the easy answer, right, is Khalil Lockett or whoever, but I've got Jamie French and one, I think he's number 2 this year, like his actual jersey number. Only ballers get single digits. That's all I'm saying, right? You don't let the new kids get single digits if they're not doing something. But ultimately, I really think Jamie French is just one of those guys who can kind of do a lot, right? He was a top camp guy. He won multiple awards, like for when he was at Nike camps or Under Armour camps or all that. Was always one of the top couple of guys at those camps. A big body, right? 6'1", 6'2", like 185. So he's got that size and frame, but he's also got some background as a track athlete. So that's the Steve Sarkisian like perfection, right? Somebody who's both big body, can high point a ball, and can move quite quickly. He's got an opportunity to come in again, make a name for himself. This wide receiver room is wide open, and I just like his game. I like his aggressiveness, and he's not one of those wide receivers that doesn't like to block. He enjoys blocking it. And, even Brennan Marion's gone, but Texas still prioritizes and gives playing time to guys who like to block at wide receiver because it opens up the run game. And so Jamie French is a guy who has and can block. And so I think he's a guy who can step in and be an elite receiver early and often for Texas.
No, I don't disagree. I think what I said when Texas was recruiting him, I don't think he's spectacular at anything, but he's good at everything. Like, there's nothing I see on his tape. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing. I'm like, man, he really needs to get better at route running. Man, he needs more breakaway speed. He's just good all around. It's kind of what I said about Matthew Golden last year. Like, he's a B-plus wide receiver that is good at everything. There's nothing I look at and say, hey, this guy needs to get drastically better at this for him to see playing time. I agree. I think he can definitely get some playing time early. And again, it's not just because he's a good player, but because Texas is lacking there. We don't know. There's like 6 to 7 guys that we could say, hey, this guy could break out of this position because they need someone to step up. I'm very confident Ryan Wingo is going to be a good wide receiver for this Texas team next year. After that, I don't know. We'll have to see. I think DeAndre Moore, I'd put him in that category as well. But we'll have to see about that position. And it's an exciting position. I 100% agree with you about the blocking thing, because not just because for the run, Sark, we know, loves the screens. And if you're not willing to block, you're not going to get as much playing time. We saw that kind of with A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell stayed on the field because he was a insanely good wide receiver. Us Texas fans and even Sark had, some issues with, hey, he's not that good of a blocker. And honestly, he doesn't really try to be that good of a blocker. Isaiah Bond kind of suffered the same thing. There were some times this year where Isaiah Bond's like, yeah, I'm just not going to block today. And he actually got benched for it because guess what? He wasn't as good at receiving as A.D. Mitchell was either. So if you're not going to be able to block in the Sark system, you better be a Xavier Worthy, 80 Mitchell level skill player. And I don't think Jamie French is that yet. And I don't know if he will be, but he is a damn good blocker. You were right about that.
Yeah, I mean that's that. I love that you said it. He's not like the number one guy at anything. He's just good at everything. He's a jack of all trades. Jordan Whittington made a career out of that for Texas, right? There are a bunch of guys who are big names for Texas that were just that mold.
No, 100%. And I mean, Jordan Whittington's probably going to be a starting wide receiver for the Rams next year. And he played really well last year for the Rams. And Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford all sang his praises. So if you just do your job well in a Steve Sarkisian system, you will get noticed, you will get drafted, you will get paid, and you also get paid while you're at Texas. So I completely agree with Jamie French. It's going to be very interesting because that wide receiver room is wide open.